You know that strange moment when someone surprises you so completely that your heart seems to forget what it's supposed to do? That was the moment that changed everything for Emma. She had always believed that people barely noticed her. She wasn't dramatic or loud. She wasn't the kind who walked into a room and made all the noise settle. Emma was quiet, thoughtful. The kind of girl who remembered every birthday and carried an extra umbrella just in case someone else forgot. And for the longest time, she assumed no one really saw her the way she tried to see others. But that changed one ordinary Thursday afternoon. It happened at Hawthorne College, in the little courtyard where students usually hurried past without really looking at anything. Emma was sitting on a stone bench beneath the old maple tree, the one that always shed early in the fall, its leaves turning warm shades of amber before the rest of the campus even realized summer was gone. She was waiting for her study group, trying to convince herself that she didn't care whether Liam Hargrove would show up. Liam. Just thinking his name made her feel ridiculous. He was the type of guy people talked about when he wasn't around, kind, steady, quietly funny. The kind of guy other people trusted without needing a reason, and not because he tried to impress anyone. He simply carried this calmness inside him, like he knew where he was going even if no one else did. Emma admired that. But she admired him from far away, the safe distance she kept on purpose. So when Liam walked into the courtyard holding 2 cups of hot chocolate, she didn't expect him to sit beside her. And she definitely didn't expect him to smile at her in that soft, patient way, as if he had been looking for her specifically. "Hey," he said, handing her one of the cups. "I remembered you like cinnamon on top. They only had a little left, so I made sure to ask before it ran out." Emma froze. He remembered. What? Her cup. Her preference. A tiny detail she had mentioned only once, during a late study session weeks earlier. Something she assumed had slipped into the universe unnoticed, like everything else she said. "You remembered that?" she asked. Liam shrugged lightly, as if it wasn't a big deal. But the way his eyes softened told her he meant it more than he let on. "Of course I did," he said. "You always notice when other people need something. I figured, maybe someone should notice things about you too." Emma felt that sentence settle inside her like a warm ember. Something glowing. Something dangerous. She tried to play it off like her chest wasn't tightening, like her voice wasn't unsteady when she said, "Thank you." "Really?" They sat there for a moment, both pretending the world wasn't suddenly different. The courtyard was quiet except for the faint rustling of leaves overhead. Students hurried around them, unaware that this moment, this strange, small moment, felt like the beginning of something neither of them had expected. "You look tired," Liam said gently. Emma blinked. "That obvious?" "Only to someone who actually looks," he said. She didn't know what to say to that. Her heart was doing that stumbling thing again. But before she could answer, a gust of wind swept through the courtyard, sending a swirl of leaves dancing around their feet. Emma laughed softly, brushing a stray leaf from her hair. Liam reached out automatically, almost without thinking, and plucked another leaf gently from her shoulder. The touch was brief, barely there, but the warmth of it lingered. And then he said something that made her breath catch entirely. "You always sit under this tree," he said. "And you always hold your cup with both hands when you're nervous. And you always tuck your hair behind your ear before you talk about something that matters." Emma stared at him, stunned. She had never known he noticed her. Not like that. Not in the way that made her feel suddenly seen, as if someone had just switched on the lights in a room she didn't know she'd been standing in. "Why do you pay attention to things like that?" she whispered. He hesitated, not from doubt, but from choosing his words with care. "Because you matter," he said softly. "Even if you don't always realize it." The world blurred for a moment. Not because she was emotional, she told herself. Just overwhelmed. Surprised. Confused. Hopeful. All at once. Before she could respond, their study group burst into the courtyard, calling their names. The moment broke, and Emma felt it slip through her fingers before she could hold on. But the warmth remained. The spark. The ache of something she wasn't sure she was ready for. Still, something had shifted. And Emma knew life wasn't going to feel quite the same after this. If you're enjoying this story so far, Please like the video and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. Emma picked up her notebook, but her hands were still trembling slightly. Liam noticed, of course he did, and when he quietly asked if she was okay, she had no idea how to answer. Because for the first time, she wasn't sure okay covered it. Something was beginning, and she didn't know whether to run from it, or fall into it. Emma tried to convince herself that nothing had really changed. She told herself that Liam was just being kind. Thoughtful, yes, but not in a way that meant anything deeper. Not in a way she should lose sleep over. But the truth was, she did lose sleep. That night, she kept replaying every second of their conversation under the maple tree. The way he had known her little habits. The way he had said she mattered. No one had ever said that to her with such simplicity. Such certainty. Such quiet care. She kept telling herself she was reading too much into it, but her heart wasn't listening. By the next morning, she felt unsettled in a way she couldn't quite name. Then something unexpected happened. When Emma reached the entrance of the library, she found Liam leaning against the brick wall, waiting. He looked up from his phone the moment he heard her approaching. "Hey," he said, offering that soft, familiar smile. Emma blinked, slowing to a stop. "Are you waiting for someone?" Liam pushed his phone into his pocket. "Yeah. You." Her breath caught. There was no teasing in his tone. No uncertainty. Just a calm truth that hit her harder than she expected. "Why?" she asked quietly. "I thought we could walk in together," he said. "You have that exam review this morning. I figured it might help if you didn't go in alone." She didn't know how to respond to that. It was such a small thing, but it wasn't small to her. "Thank you," she finally whispered. They walked in side by side. Not touching, not talking much, just moving in the same quiet rhythm. And she could feel herself getting dangerously comfortable with it. Inside the library, he held the door for her, then hesitated. "I'll see you later," he asked. "Yeah," she said. "I'd like that." Liam's smile widened just a fraction, barely noticeable unless someone was paying attention. And Emma was. For the next hour, she tried focusing on her notes, but her mind kept drifting back to him. To his calm presence, to the way he made things feel just a little easier. By the time her review session ended, she stepped into the hallway feeling overwhelmed and grateful all at once. But then she stopped in her tracks. Liam was there again. Leaning against the same wall. As if waiting had been the most natural thing in the world. "Did it go okay?" he asked. Emma stared at him, her heart stumbling. "You waited for me?" He nodded. "You looked nervous earlier. I wanted to make sure you were all right." For a moment, she couldn't form a single word. People didn't do that. Not for her. Not with this kind of quiet intention. "Yes," she said softly. "It went okay." Liam's shoulders eased. "Good." They stepped out into the courtyard together, the sunlight catching in the falling leaves. Emma felt something shift again. Something deeper. Something she couldn't ignore anymore. "Liam," she said quietly. "Yeah. Why are you being extra thoughtful lately?" He blinked, startled by the question. Then he looked at her, really looked, and she felt the world steady and tilt at the same time. "I guess," he said slowly, "I've been noticing things for a while. And I didn't want to keep pretending I hadn't." Emma felt her pulse thrum in her ears. "What things?" He hesitated, searching her face with a careful gentleness that made her heart twist. "Like how you always put other people first," he said. "And how you never complain even when you're overwhelmed. And how you listen better than anyone I've ever known." Emma's throat tightened. "And," he added, a touch of warmth in his voice, "how you try to hide when you're hurting, but it's not as hidden as you think." She turned slightly, her breath unsteady. How long had he been paying this much attention? And why did it feel like she'd been walking around unaware of an entire truth? "Emma," Liam said gently, "if I'm crossing a line, tell me. I don't want to make you uncomfortable." She shook her head quickly. "No. You're not. I don't understand why you notice all this." Liam exhaled, looking up at the branches above them. Then he spoke so softly she almost missed it. "Maybe because I want to." A single, warm gust of wind drifted between them. Emma felt her heart open and tighten at the same time. She didn't know what to say. She didn't know what she was feeling, only that it was growing faster than she could keep up with. Before she could gather her thoughts, Liam stepped back slightly, giving her space. "Walk with me," he asked. She looked up, still shaken, still unsure yet drawn toward him in a way she could no longer explain away. "Okay," she whispered. They started walking down the garden path, side by side, neither of them speaking. Emma felt something unspoken hanging between them, soft, warm, and terrifying. Something she wasn't sure she was ready to name. But she knew one thing for certain. Her life was changing. And Liam was right in the center of that shift. There are days that feel ordinary until one small conversation rewrites the entire meaning of them. That was how Emma felt the next morning as she hurried across campus with a stack of books pressed against her chest. Everything seemed normal. The sky was a soft gray. The breeze carried hints of rain. Students moved in quick streams, laughing and talking as they went about their day. But Emma didn't feel normal at all. Because ever since Liam had said he wanted to notice her, everything felt different. Brighter. Heavier. Almost frightening. She kept replaying his words over and over, trying to make sense of them. And then, halfway across the quad, she heard someone jogging behind her. "Emma, wait." Her breath caught. She turned. Liam slowed to a stop a few feet away, slightly out of breath, his hair ruffled by the wind. "Hey," he said, catching his breath. "I thought I saw you heading this way." Emma tightened her hold on her books. "Are you looking for me?" "Yeah," he said without hesitation. "I wanted to walk you to the arts building." Her heart flipped. "But that's on the opposite side of campus from your class," she pointed out. He shrugged lightly. "It's worth it." She stared at him, unsure what to say to something like that. It wasn't dramatic or showy. It was simple. Sincere. And that made it hit even harder. They started walking together, their shoulders almost, but not quite, close enough to touch. Emma kept her eyes ahead. Liam kept his eyes on her. After a few steps, he said, "You seem quiet this morning." She let out a breath. "I'm just thinking." "About?" Emma hesitated. She considered lying, brushing it off, pretending nothing was swirling inside her. But she didn't want to do that with him. "About yesterday," she admitted softly. "About what you said." Liam slowed his pace, motioning gently for her to continue. "You told me you've been noticing me," she said. "And I still don't know what that means." He stopped walking entirely. Emma turned to him, her pulse tapping at her ribs. Liam looked at her with that same careful gentleness she was beginning to recognize as uniquely his. "It means," he said slowly, "that you're someone I care about. More than you probably realize." Her breath stilled. He wasn't teasing. He wasn't guessing. He wasn't uncertain. He meant it. Emma looked down at her hands, heat rushing to her cheeks. She had never been someone people confessed things to. She had never been the center of someone's attention like this. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "You don't have to say anything," he replied softly. "I just didn't want to keep pretending." The silence between them turned warm. Not uncomfortable, just full. Then, suddenly, the sky opened with a soft crack of thunder. A thin drizzle started to fall, dusting the path around them. Emma blinked at the raindrops. "Oh, great," she murmured. Liam's expression shifted instantly. "Come on." Before she could react, he gently took her arm, not pulling, just guiding, and led her toward the awning of a nearby building. They stepped under the wide stone archway just as the drizzle turned into a real downpour. Rain poured in sheets, tapping rhythmically against the concrete, blurring the world beyond. Emma shook the water from her sleeves and laughed softly. "I should have checked the forecast." "I did," Liam said. She raised her eyebrows. "And you didn't mention it." "I was already on my way to you," he said with a small smile. "If I had warned you, you might have walked slower. And then I wouldn't have caught up." Emma felt something warm bloom in her chest. He really had come to find her. They stood there watching the rain, just the two of them under the stone archway while the rest of campus rushed by in a storm of umbrellas and wet sneakers. After a moment, Liam spoke again. You don't have to give me an answer right away, he said quietly. About what I said. About how I feel. Emma turned to him. She wasn't sure if she was ready. She wasn't sure what she wanted. But she knew she didn't want him to think she was pushing him away. I just need time, she said honestly. Not because I don't care. I'm still understanding what this all means. Liam nodded, something soft and relieved in his eyes. Time is okay, he said. I'm not going anywhere. Those words settled deep inside her. Warm. Steady. Unexpected. Another roll of thunder echoed through the courtyard, and Emma jumped slightly. Liam chuckled. You're not great with storms, are you? She exhaled, embarrassed. Not really. I never have been. He shifted closer, not touching her, just offering his presence. You're safe, he said. I promise. Emma felt her heartbeat settle, calm under the sound of his voice. And then, quietly, almost too quietly, she said, Liam, why does it feel like you always know exactly what I need before I say anything? He looked at her, rainlight reflecting in his eyes. Because, he whispered, I pay attention. Emma's breath caught. Before she could respond, before she could even think of what she wanted to say, the rain suddenly softened, turning to a gentle mist. Students began moving again, their footsteps echoing across the wet pavement. Emma stepped toward the edge of the archway, testing the air. It's clearing up, she said softly. Yeah, Liam replied. Neither of them moved. Neither of them seemed ready for the moment to end. And then Emma heard someone call her name from across the courtyard, someone approaching quickly, someone who looked worried. She turned, confused. Liam stepped forward slightly, instinctively protective. The rain quieted around them. And Emma wondered, for the first time, whether the moment that had just begun was about to change again into something she didn't see coming. The voice calling Emma's name grew clearer as it crossed the courtyard. Emma turned toward it, blinking through the soft mist still hanging in the air. A moment later, her friend Mia rushed toward her, her ponytail damp and frizzy from the rain, her expression tight with worry. Emma. Oh thank goodness, Mia said, stopping just short of colliding with her. I've been looking everywhere. Emma frowned. Why? What's wrong? Mia opened her mouth, but then her gaze shifted to Liam standing beside Emma under the archway. Her eyes flicked between them, just briefly, before she asked, Can we talk? Like, privately? Emma felt her stomach twist. Mia never used that tone unless something serious was going on. She glanced at Liam. His posture was relaxed, but his eyes were sharp with concern. I'll be right here, he said gently. Take your time. Reluctantly, Emma stepped a few feet away with Mia, though she still felt Liam's presence in the background like a quiet anchor. Once they were out of earshot, Mia lowered her voice. It's your brother, she said. He called me because you weren't answering your phone. Emma blinked in confusion. My phone? Wait, did something happen? Mia hesitated before nodding. He said your mom slipped on the kitchen floor this morning. She's okay, but she's shaken up and needs someone home with her until this evening. He's stuck at work and can't leave. Emma's breath caught. Her heart dropped straight to her stomach. My mom fell, she whispered. She didn't break anything, Mia said quickly. But she's sore and a little scared, and he didn't want you to panic over the phone. Emma exhaled sharply, pressing a shaky hand to her forehead. I need to go home. Right now. Yeah, Mia said softly. I figured. Emma turned to look back at Liam under the archway. He was watching her with that same steady calm she had come to rely on. Mia noticed the look on Emma's face and touched her arm gently. Want me to call a rideshare for you? Emma shook her head. No. I'll figure it out. Mia squeezed her hand before stepping back. Text me when you get home, okay? I will, Emma promised. When she returned to Liam, she saw the concern already written across his face. What happened? He asked quietly. Emma swallowed hard, trying to steady her voice. My mom slipped at home. She's okay, but she's alone right now. I have to go. Liam nodded immediately. Of course. Do you need a ride? Emma opened her mouth to say no out of habit, out of wanting not to trouble anyone, but her voice faltered. She felt overwhelmed. scared. And the idea of navigating buses or waiting for a ride in the rain suddenly felt too heavy. Liam took a small step closer, his voice soft but firm. "Emma," he said, "let me drive you. Please." She hesitated for only a moment before finally nodding. "Okay." They hurried through the thinning drizzle toward the parking lot. The car ride started in a silence that wasn't awkward, just full of emotion Emma didn't have the energy to untangle. Liam kept his eyes on the road but spoke gently. "She's going to be all right," he said. "You'll be with her soon." Emma nodded, staring out the window as raindrops slid across the glass. "I feel guilty," she murmured. "I should have answered my phone. I should have been there." "You didn't do anything wrong," Liam said. "You couldn't have known." Emma closed her eyes. But worry kept swirling anyway. When they pulled up to her house, Emma hurried out of the car, grateful and overwhelmed all at once. Liam followed, stopping only when she reached the porch. "Do you want me to come in?" he asked gently. "Or would you rather have time alone with her first?" Emma hesitated, but then shook her head. "No. You don't have to stay. You've done enough already." Liam's expression softened, though something about his eyes told her he wished she'd said something different. "Okay," he said quietly. "But if you need anything at all, call me." "I mean that." She nodded. "Thank you, Liam. For everything." He gave a small nod, as if accepting far less than what he felt. Then he turned and walked back toward his car. Emma watched him go, a strange ache settling in her chest. She didn't want him to leave. She didn't want to face the worry alone. But she also didn't know how to ask for more. When she stepped inside the house, her mom was sitting on the couch with an ice pack pressed gently to her shoulder. "Mom," Emma breathed, rushing to her side. "Are you okay? Why didn't anyone call me sooner?" Her mom smiled weakly. "I didn't want you worrying during class. I'm just bruised, sweetheart. I promise I'm all right." Emma sat beside her, taking her hand. But even as she listened to her mom explain the fall, her mind kept drifting back to Liam, how quickly he reacted, how much he seemed to care, how hard it was becoming to imagine navigating moments like this without him nearby. As Emma helped her mom get comfortable, she glanced out the window. Liam's car was gone. But she could still feel the echo of his presence. And somewhere deep inside her, a quiet realization began to take shape. Not about her mom. Not about the fall. About him. About what he meant to her. And about what she might be ready to admit if she wasn't so afraid of what it could change. The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur of worry and caretaking. Emma helped her mom settle in with pillows, made her tea, reheated soup, and kept checking her temperature even though she knew that wasn't necessary. She hovered, fussed, and rearranged things that didn't really need rearranging. It was the kind of busy work people did when they were trying not to think too much. Except Emma was thinking. A lot. Every now and then her mind drifted to Liam, to the look in his eyes when he told her she mattered, to the way he offered support without expecting anything back, to the gentle steadiness that made everything feel a little less frightening. By early evening, her mom was resting more comfortably. The fall had shaken her up, but she was stable, calm, and grateful for Emma's help. "You can go home and rest if you want," her mom murmured, half asleep. "I'll be fine." Emma smiled softly. "I am home." Her mom opened her eyes, studying her carefully. Then, with a small knowing smile, she asked, "Is something else on your mind?" Emma blinked, caught off guard. "Why would you say that?" "Because," her mom whispered, "you keep pacing like you're waiting for something." Emma's cheeks warmed. She hadn't realized she was pacing. Or at least, not as much as she apparently had been. Her mom squeezed her hand. "Sweetheart," she said softly, "whoever he is, you can talk to him. Or talk to me. Or both." Emma exhaled, her heart tripping at the mention of him. "It's just complicated," she whispered. "Most good things are," her mom replied. Emma sat back down, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "I don't know what to do," she confessed. Her mom smiled with gentle patience. "Then start with what you feel." Emma didn't answer. Not right away. Because her feelings were the one thing she had been avoiding thinking too directly about. She cared about Liam. More than she had realized. More than she was prepared to admit when everything first started changing. But now the truth felt harder to ignore. She cared. Deeply. And she wanted to tell him, maybe even needed to. When her mom drifted off to sleep again, Emma finally picked up her phone. She stared at Liam's name, her thumb hovering over the screen. Then she typed a simple message. "Are you still nearby?" She hesitated only a moment before pressing send. The reply came quicker than she expected. "Yeah. I'm a few blocks away. Do you need anything?" Emma's heart stuttered. She typed back. "Can you come back? If it's not too much trouble." His response came within seconds. "On my way." Emma stepped outside onto the front porch, wrapping her arms around herself as the cool evening air swept across the neighborhood. The rain had stopped hours earlier, leaving the street glistening beneath the streetlights. A minute later, Liam's car pulled up to the curb. He stepped out immediately, worry written plainly across his face. "Is your mom okay?" he asked, walking toward her. "She's fine," Emma said softly. "She's resting." Liam exhaled, relieved. "I'm glad. I was thinking about you both." Emma swallowed, nerves tightening in her chest. "Liam," she said quietly, "can we talk?" He nodded, instantly attentive. "Of course." They stood in the soft glow of the porch light, the air calm and still around them. Emma took a breath. "I've been trying to understand what I'm feeling," she began. "And I was scared to admit it." Liam's eyes softened, but he didn't move closer. He gave her space. He always knew when she needed it. "Take your time," he murmured. Emma looked up at him, her heart unsteady but certain. "You told me you noticed things about me," she said. "And I didn't realize how much that meant until today." Liam waited, quiet and patient. "I don't usually let people in," she whispered. "But you see me in ways I didn't expect anyone to." His expression shifted, gentle, warm, hopeful. "Emma," he said carefully, "you don't have to say anything you're not ready for." She shook her head. "No. I want to say this." For a moment, the world felt suspended around them. "I care about you," she finally said. "More than I realized. More than I knew I was allowed to." Liam's breath caught softly. "And I don't want to pretend I don't feel something anymore," she added. "Not when you've been honest with me from the beginning." Liam stepped forward slowly, giving her all the space she needed to stop him. She didn't. He reached out and gently took her hand, his touch warm and steady. "I've cared about you for a long time," he said quietly. "I just needed you to see yourself the way I see you." Emma felt her throat tighten with emotion. She whispered, "I'm finally starting to." Liam smiled then, small, real, and full of something she didn't have a word for yet. A soft breeze drifted across the porch, carrying the scent of wet leaves and something new beginning. "Can I stay for a little while?" he asked. Emma nodded, her fingers tightening around his. "I'd like that," she said. And for the first time in her life, she didn't feel invisible. She felt seen. Understood. Cherished. Not because she had changed, but because someone had been paying attention all along.